Hi, everybody. I'm Kieran McMorrow. We are going to be presenting a new platform academy here with Jivan, talking about application insights. Jivan, I just wanted to double check. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. Also on the call, we have Andrew Barnes and Adam Stout. Yeah, we look forward to hearing about the application insights today with you. How are you? If you could give a brief introduction to yourself.
Sure. I am a senior product manager with the Platform Foundations team here. I've been with the firm for like 8 years now. I have worked as PM for ATF and Upgrade Center before this, and now I manage application insights and instance scan.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And we appreciate you coming to join us today and talk about application insights. So you can get started whenever you'd like.
Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, it definitely is. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. This is the 9th session in the Platform Foundations Academy series. And today we're going to be focusing on application insights. It's a store app that was released in August of this year. It provides a centralized place for admins to monitor their instance health and performance. Just beginning with a safe harbor, which states that this presentation might contain some forward-looking statements, and they are true of our beliefs at the moment, but they are subjected to change in the future. Let's look at the current state of the monitoring and troubleshooting space. We did extensive research with our customers and internal teams to figure out the challenges and pain points that an instance admin currently faces in the system, especially when it relates to managing the instance's health and troubleshooting performance issues. And here's what we found. The biggest pain point that is that currently the platform doesn't offer any out-of-the-box tool or capabilities to help with troubleshooting an issue, especially when you're trying to do root cause analysis and other kinds of investigations. You have to go to multiple places to check logs, transactions, statuses, and you have to manually figure out context and correlation between, say, for example, an instance activity like an upgrade or an application install and any performance issues that resulted from it. The platform also doesn't provide a holistic view of the health and performance of all the instance nodes in one place. And lastly, any optimization and resolution is quite manual. In the long run, with application insights, we want instance admins to be able to resolve issues in a self-service sort of manner, and also to proactively mitigate any potential risks to the system. With application insights, we want admins to be proactive in managing the health and performance of their ServiceNow instances, and be able to remediate and ultimately preempt any issues that threaten the instance stability and performance. App Insights aims to aid the instance admin to A, identify and resolve issues in their instance by providing them a centralized view of their instance health and performance metrics, so they spend less time searching and more time doing. B, we want to provide tools for reactive instance management in the form of capabilities that let them take corrective actions themselves from within the app. And C, we want to provide opportunities for proactive instance management by providing guidance and building intelligence in product using which instance admins can identify and mitigate any risks that would have otherwise led to issues. Now let's see what capabilities are provided in product for instance admins to be able to achieve the objectives that you've just seen. All right. So with application insights, we provide you with actionable data that you can use to detect any anomalies or deviations in your instance behavior. You can drill into each data point to further investigate the issue, and also use diagnostic events to determine any correlation between an impactful system activity and performance degradation. You have the option to set thresholds based on your custom business criteria and what is baseline for your particular instance. You can also set up your own alerting and notification flows for when a metric does cross the thresholds that you've set for it. And without further ado, let me switch over to the demo.
Awesome. I love your background, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Have you visited there?
We've all been missing traveling, so this is my way of traveling virtually.
Great.
It was the background of the Louvre for a very long time, and I recently switched to Tokyo.
Awesome.
All right. So for this, for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be assuming the role of an instance admin, and we will see how application insights plugs into my daily tasks and responsibilities as an admin. So I'm in my instance. I have done all the prerequisites of installing the app. So let me search for it. So this menu comes right up, and when I click on it, this dashboard appears in a new tab. So I'm taken to this dashboard where I can see a number of tabs. These tabs correspond to the different metrics that I have access to, that I can monitor right from inside the app. And there are three main categories of metrics that I can monitor. Let me quickly go over the metrics, and then we can jump into the features and how to use the app. So the first category is events. In the events tab, you have metrics related to the performance of your event queues. In particular, the number of events logged and processed. We are adding events queued metrics to this list in the future. The second category of metrics is related to ECC queues, where you can monitor the performance of your mid servers. Here you will see the number of entries in your ECC input and output queues in the various states like ready, processing, and processed for each of the queues. The next set of metrics is around session info. In the session info tab, you will have metrics related to the performance of your sessions and transactions. You can monitor things like average response time, your transaction count, logged in users, and also the performance of your semaphore queues. In addition to these metrics that you can monitor, we also give you insights into slow patterns in your instance. Here we have included various metrics that can potentially contribute towards slowness in the system. You can see the list of slow running scripts, slow queries executed on the instance, the list of slow transactions, and the slow events that occurred in the system. The scheduled job tabs lists all the scheduled jobs that have executed on the instance in a given time frame. So here you can see a time frame where you can select 1, 7, or 30 days. And shows the number of times it was run in that range and what was the average processing time in that range. Now that we have seen what metrics are available, let's see what capabilities are provided in application insights to me as an instance admin to monitor the health of my instance and also to troubleshoot any performance related issues using the given metrics and features. So part of my daily monitoring, so part of my daily task is to monitor the performance of my instance, right? So what I can do is I can open this dashboard and look at the overview charts and see how the different metrics are performing at a high level, at a bird's eye view. So let's take the example of the users and transactions chart right here. There are three metrics plotted on this chart: logged in users, average response time, and transaction count. I can see how these metrics have been performing over time individually as well as in relation to each other. So here I'm seeing like a little spike in the transaction count. But at the same time, I'm also seeing that there is a spike in logged in users. So maybe that's expected and not a cause of concern because more number of users, so more transactions in the system. So that's something that I can ignore. But if this spike in logged in users was not there and just there was a spike in average transaction response time, that might be a cause of worry to me that I will go ahead and investigate further. And that's the reason for overlaying different metrics together in the charts. So I, as an instance admin, I'm not alarmed by any individual or isolated metric going up or down. I can see its performance in relation to the other related metrics, and I can decide whether I need to take an action on that or not.
And Yvonne, we've got a question in the chat real quick. David asks, are there plans to publish examples of each metric and show what good or bad looks like?
So yes, as part of the long-term strategy, we will be providing you with guidance on what to do when this metric is not performing as expected. That's one aspect of it. And the other aspect of it is providing you with insights into what is baseline, what the baseline numbers look for your particular instance. I'll cover all of those things throughout my presentation.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah. So similarly, the way I am seeing the performance of my sessions over time, the performance of my events. So both of these metrics are logged together, and I can see fine or not. I can also monitor the performance of my ECC queues at a high level, right from the overview page, the different queues and also the various semaphores. So all of the charts that are in the app on the overview tab as well as in the specific tabs are refreshed every 5 minutes. So I can, what I can do is, as an admin, I can keep this tab open in one of the screens in front of me throughout the day or during the course of any impactful activity, like a system update is happening, or I'm expecting heavy traffic on the system. So I can closely and more proactively monitor if something is about to go wrong or not. Let's take another example, and let's say I am noticing some unusual activity and I want to get more details on a metric, right? So what I can do is I can drill into any of these metrics in the chart, and I will be taken to the detailed view corresponding to that metric that I drill down into. You can also use the tabs above to navigate directly. So as example,
a couple more questions, if that's all right, Jivan, real quick before we leave the context of this page. So with these transaction metrics, they're measured every 5 minutes? Is it showing the number of transactions per minute or over the last 5 minutes?
So the data is pulled every 5 minutes. So whatever number you're seeing is the average of the last 5 minutes.
Okay. And someone in the chat, it looks like Terry asked, what is the lower graph, the blue one?
This is not a graph. This is actually a zoom in, zoom out window for zooming into a particular time. It looks like another graph, and that's how the component is designed. And we are working with the team who designed it to give better visuals because it is confusing. We've been fooled as well. So that was a good call.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Of course. Okay, let's take the example of a metric and see what we do if we want to investigate further into it. So let's say so the transaction response time is the orange graph. Let's all use our imaginations and say there is a spike here. Let's all be a sport and imagine it. And I clicked on it, and I'm taken to the average transaction response time chart under the session info tab. On this tab, like we saw, the other metrics that were clubbed together in the overview chart here, they are into separate charts of their own in this in the session info view. So let me walk you through the different features and information that is available on the detail charts, and this is common across all the detail charts. So I will just take this one as an example to explain all the features. So the first thing I notice is at the top, this list on top, what it shows is all of the instance nodes, right? So right now, this is my personal demo instance, so I only have 2 nodes. So it's listing all the nodes that are in my instance. And the chart is plotting metrics for each of the nodes separately. So if you can see, the blue line plots, sorry about that. So the blue line is plotting for one particular node, and the orange line is plotting for the other node. This can be useful to determine if, for example, you're seeing a performance degradation, whether that's happening across all the nodes in your instance or only on a specific node or a set of nodes. There's some more interesting things on here. Let's see what those are. So you will see more things like 1-day moving average, 95th percentile, and median. What 1-day moving average is in this case would be the average transaction response time across the nodes over 1 day. So if I filter out the data for the individual nodes, I can see this line, which is plotting the 1-day moving average. I can also see a number called 95th percentile plotted on the chart, which tells you that 95% of the transaction response times in your instance are 279 milliseconds or less. So if there is anything that is more than 279 milliseconds, that probably is a cause of concern, and you should look into that. We also calculate similarly, we also calculate the median value of a given metric and plot it over here. So you can use all of these different numbers together as guides to see if the performance on any day or a given time period is significantly deviating from what is baseline for your instance. On the top right, you can see a toggle between 1, 7, and 30 days. By default, we show the data for the last 7 days, but I can switch to 1 day or 30 days depending upon where I want to focus on. Below the chart, I am seeing a list. So this is the list of all the nodes. So we had 2 nodes in the system, and this is listing all of the nodes and giving you corresponding numbers that we saw plotted on the chart corresponding to each node. So here I aggregated over all the nodes, but if you want to see these numbers specific to a node, the list is where we plot them. This again is helpful to determine if the issue is with a particular node or a particular set of nodes or across all the nodes in your instance. Now let's have a look at this header. The first section is grayed out. It says group by performance. So what do you think it means? Basically, if I had a large number of nodes on this chart, right? If say I had 10, 15 nodes here, so you would see like lines for all of the 10 and 15 nodes on this chart, which makes it very noisy, right? It's practically unusable. It might as well be a painting at that point. When the number of nodes is more than 6, what we do is we by default have this selected, and the group and the nodes are grouped together based on their performance. So I might split my 10 nodes into 3 groups, and all the nodes that are performing similarly fall into the same group. Here I only have 2 nodes not available. Let's see an example of grouping on ECC queues. Yes. So this is my chart, which tells me the performance of my ECC output queues for records that are in the ready state, right? I'm not going to go into the detail of what that is, but let me just explain what group by performance is. So here, group by performance is selected because I have like 7. I have the data to show for 7 agents here, and let's unselect this and see what happens. See, at this point, this is I'm seeing the data for all the 7 nodes. I'm gonna automatically group this, and if there's any specific group that I want to focus into, what I'm noticing is that the blue group is consistently scoring higher than the rest of the 2. So maybe that's where I want to focus in on. I will select any data point on this line, on the blue line, and then it's going to take me to group 1. And in the group 1, it's going to list all of the nodes or agents that were part of that group. Here, there's only 1, but there can be more. So let's see. For group 3, there are 2 agents clubbed together because these 2 were performing similar to each other. So that's how grouping works. Let's see what next. Okay, so let's see. I think I covered all the features on the detailed charts. And now I want to talk about how application insights is useful to an instance admin when you are trying to troubleshoot any issues. So let's say users are reporting a slowness in the system, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with if I don't have any idea of where the slowness is coming from, I am basically starting from ground zero. So what I'm going to do is I will go to the overview tab to look at my session performance. You look at users and transactions to see if I see any spike or a drop, or then either from here or I can go into the session info tab to look at them individually. Things sort of look normal here. So let me go ahead and look at slow patterns and see what we find there. In this tab, I will see what all the slow patterns happening in my instance in terms of what are the slow scripts, any slow queries, the slow transactions, and slow events. I would look at the ones that have either been executed a large number of times, or the ones that have been that have the highest execution times. And if it's a combination of both, that's where where you want to focus on. So let's say I identified a slow query, right? So let's take this example. This has run for 17,000 times in the 7-day time period, and it took an average of 20 milliseconds every time. Let's say this was 200, and that's where I want to focus on. So I would drill into this, and what it's going to show me, it's going to give me a view similar to the metrics that we've seen so far. And here in this way, I can see how many times has that query been executed in the given time period. Again, you can select 1, 7, or 30. How many times it was executed, when it was executed, and how it has been performing, whether the performance has been getting better or getting worse with time. So I can use this information to see, if it's a rather slow query and is also executed often in the instance, I should look into it to determine whether I need to optimize it or whether I need to get rid of it altogether. I can also do one thing. I can use the view record button here to navigate to the particular record corresponding to the slow pattern. Let's see what we'll see there. I get more details on the slow pattern, like the stack trace, the first time the query was seen and the most recent time it was executed. And this is a new view that we have created for the purpose of application insights. If you can see here, it's a slow queries insights view. What we have done is we have added these two related lists at the bottom. In the referenced scripts, you will see what scripts are being referenced in the slow pattern. So we look at the stack trace and see if you are seeing any script includes or business rules being called inside that script, and we are going to list them now.
Wow, that's fantastic. I can see how that'd be incredibly useful.
Yes, absolutely. And we have actually seen some customers make use of this to identify a recurring pattern, and then they went ahead and did optimizations on that instance.
Because I know a number of devs who would absolutely love that. You have to spend hours typically digging through to find where that script kind of spiders, and having this kind of pull up right there is just unbelievably helpful.
You're going to love the next one even more. So here I can see that this particular slow query calls this calculate compliance core script include. Let's see what this next related list is. So in the related slow patterns list, I can see if there are other slow patterns on the instance that are also calling the scripts that are being referenced in this slow pattern. So together, these two insights give me an idea of what the cause of the slowness is. For example, if I find that multiple slow queries reference the same script include or the same business rule, that's probably where the issue lies, and I need to go and optimize it.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear your feedback. All right. It's also worthwhile when you're looking at slowness to look at your scheduled jobs to find if there is a heavy job that is causing the slowness of or if there is a job that's been running either rogue or executing same way, executing more times than it's needed. In the scheduled jobs tab, I can see all the script includes that have executed in my instance in the time range that's selected. Again, 7 by default, and you can change to 1 and 30 if you need to. You have access to the average processing duration and execution time. So you can see how many times it was run and what was the average processing duration for the time period that's selected. So here also, there were some customers who found out about jobs that they did not know were executing on their instances, and some that were executing, some heavy jobs that were executing during their business hours that was causing a lot of slowness in their systems. So in such scenarios, what you can do is you can investigate the problematic jobs and see you can retire unwanted jobs or reschedule the heavy ones to your non-business hours or when your user activity is not that low. And that's also where application insights can be helpful. What you can do is you can use your logged in users chart to identify areas of low activity where you can possibly, if you absolutely have to schedule something that's resource intensive, that's where you can schedule it to minimize the impact. And just like slow patterns, you can also drill down into a particular scheduled jobs and see its performance over time. And that's like a secondary benefit that you get. If you were trying to do any optimizations on your scheduled job, you can see whether your optimization worked or not, depending upon if the processing duration is going down or going up. All right. So the next section or the next part of the demo is something that is my favorite part. So far, we have seen how application insights helps me fast track my troubleshooting when something actually does break down in the system. But where it has even a bigger impact is in determining potential issues ahead of them becoming actual issues, or me preempting any failures or breakdowns in the system. So for example, let's come back to my overview tab. I'm logged in. I'm start of the day, I'm doing my routine sanity checks, right? I notice something is odd in the events space. I see that at this point of time, the number of events logged started increasing dramatically, right? But the number of events processed is not increasing at the same rate, which means that if this keeps happening, your events queue is going to get clogged and people are going to start seeing failures. Right. So what I want to do is I want to identify what was the source of this increased activity. First, I want to see if the events being logged are genuine. If these are not on some rogue script running that's just creating events that I might want to put a stop to. So that's where I start my investigation. So I will go to this data point and let me use this not very intuitive zoom in feature to drill into the point when my event logging started increasing. So when I do that, I'm taken to my events queue, my events tab, to the events logged metric. There I can see, I can identify if it's a pattern, if every week at this time I see a spike, or if every day at this time I see a spike, but I'm not noticing any pattern right here, right? So there is one more thing I can do. Anyone wants to guess what that is? So what I can do is I can overlay the diagnostic events from this chart right here, right? So why is this helpful? What can it help you do? So when I use overlay events like this, I can see if that point in time when the malfunction started happening, whether it coincides with any impactful activity on your instance, and in terms of whether it can tell you whether you installed an app or there was an upgrade, you installed an update set, there was cache flushing, there was any error in the system. If that coincides with the numbers that you're seeing here, that's your clue into that might be the cause of it. Let's say I had installed an update set, and immediately after that, my events started getting increasing. I'll go ahead and investigate what was in that update set and why is it causing events logged to increase. So once I've identified a problem area, what I can do is I can drill into that particular data point that I'm interested in. And when I do that, I'm taken to the underlying table on which the chart is based, right? So here, you can see I drilled into that particular data point on the events chart, and I'm taken to the events table. And here I will see events that were created in that table within a 10-minute window of the data point that I clicked. So for example, I clicked on the 8:10 data point. So it's going to show me everything that was created from 8:05 to 8:15. So it gives me insights into what was happening immediately before and immediately after immediately before and immediately after that specific point in time that I'm interested to investigate. So the next feature that I want to talk about also falls into the preemptive category, which is the thresholds. If I can find it among the billion headers here. Yes, there is it. Okay, so the next feature I want to talk about is thresholds. Right here in this tab, what you can do is, so thresholds let you take proactive instance monitoring to the next level. They give you the ability to define what is the baseline behavior for your instance and set alerts and triggers to notify you or take any action when the system starts deviating from the baseline behavior that you have identified for it. Now, just we saw like a couple of minutes ago, I was able to catch the event queue malfunction because I was on the instance, I was on the dashboard and I saw it, right? But I'm not on my system 24/7. So how can I ensure that I am able to catch such anomalies even when I'm not actively on my ServiceNow instance and actively monitoring it? So what I can do is I can do this by setting up a threshold on the sensitive metric or a set of metrics that I need more closer eyes on. Let's take the example of events again. So I'm going to create a new threshold. My events, and excuse my spelling. So this is, let's give your threshold a unique name so that you know when that when it gets triggered, you know exactly what was happening. You can choose among the metrics that are available to you in App Insights. So in the events one, we want to track if number of events logged starts getting increased, excessive event logging is happening. So I'm going to say when events logged is greater than, and you as an instance admin would have an idea of what is baseline for your instance, right? And this is where in the future we want to help you with defining or giving you an idea of what is baseline for your instance. But at this point, we rely on you to know more about your instance to know what is baseline. So let's say from experience, I know that the number of events logged rarely crosses 500 on my instance when nothing is wrong. So I'm going to set 500 as my baseline, and I want it to be sustained for a certain duration before it starts ringing alarm bells, right? So let's say for a period of 5 minutes. You can also combine it with other metrics. So you just don't want to say that, hey, when events logged is greater than 500, inform me. You can say when events logged is greater than 500, but number of users is less than so and so. So you can do and or conditions to combine it with the other metrics. So that's how you can, like, you hit on save and you'll create this threshold.
And would the persona that would be creating these thresholds primarily be the Insight admin, or would there be kind of multiple individuals inside an organization that would kind of monitor these kind of threshold events that we would create?
The persona, the ServiceNow persona that we're targeting with App Insights is the instance admin. However, App Insights comes with a role of its own. So whoever you want, even if they don't explicitly have the instance admin rights, if you want somebody to have access to this dashboard, you can give them the App Insights role and they can use it. I am not sure if they'll be able to create thresholds. I can double check that and get back to you.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So let's assume I've created this threshold. Now, what happens? At this point of time, I've just created my threshold. So what I'll be able to do, I'll be able to see that threshold on my charts. So if it's a combination of multiple metrics, I'll see that threshold on all those metrics. So the excessive events logging metric I created on events processed and events logged. And on both of these charts, I can see this. I can see my threshold plotted. So what that's going to do is when I created this threshold, when I'm looking at these charts, I can see whether the instance activity is approaching the threshold that I've created or did in the past breach that threshold that I've created. if you want to take it to the next level of actually getting notified of when that happens, so what you can do is you can, when you create a threshold, you can create a flow along with it. I've already created one for this. That's why it says edit flow. So when you create a flow, we integrate with Flow Designer to give you the ability to create custom flow as per your business process. The default template that we provide when you click on create flow is to send an email. But you can edit this to do whatever you want as is appropriate for your business logic. You have access to all the Flow Designer spokes and other actions that are normally available to you. And that's how you can customize whatever action should happen. So for example, if the number of transactions start increasing at a certain level, you want a certain scheduled job or script to be executed, and that's how you can define your own business process here. Any questions?
Looks like we've got crickets, so none currently.
Awesome. So let me move on. So that concluded the demo of the app, but I do want to quickly share a guide on how you can procure the app and set your instance up to start getting value out of the insights and capabilities of Application Insights. The app is available on store. Just search for Application Insights, or you can reach out to your account managers and they can share the link with you. You can install and use the app on any instance that is Paris Patch 7 or above. One key thing to call out is that we are using metric base behind the scenes to store and provide the time series information on the charts. So you will need to request for metric base for the instance, for the particular instance that you want to install the app on. You will get access to metric base free of cost. Otherwise, it's a paid service. But for use by Application Insights, you will not be charged for metric base. But that doesn't mean you get access to standalone metric base. You won't be able to do any development or create time series of your own. It's just you'll get the provisioning for free. And we have shared the steps to request metric base on the store listing. Make sure you get your metric base provisioned on the instance before you install the app. Otherwise, you won't be able to use the app and you have to go via the route of creating a support ticket and waiting for that to get resolved and stuff. So we don't want you to go through the hassle of that. So make sure you get your provisioning in place and then go ahead and install on your instance. And you'll also need to request for metric base separately for each instance that you want to install on. So metric base is provisioned per instance and not per customer. So if you have it provisioned for subprod, you'll need it provisioned separately for your production instances. We are working with our internal team to get the metric-based provisioning automated, but until that happens, unfortunately, this needs to be done manually. Once metric base is enabled, install Application Insights from the plugin dashboard. And if your organization has enabled predictive intelligence, you also get access to a P1 prediction model on Quebec instances. When it's enabled, a warning will be displayed on all the graphs that indicate that a P1 might occur on the system.
On that note, Jivan, we had a question in the chat. Could you actually show the P1 prediction metric?
I don't have it set up on my demo currently, but I can take that as a note and probably spin up a quick demo and share. Maybe we can plug it in with when we are uploading this. So
awesome, thank you so much.
As well. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So some key takeaways that I want you all to go away with from the session is, first and foremost, Application Insights is available for free. So get the app from the store, install it on your sub-production instances, explore it, get familiar with it, get comfortable. And once you, and you definitely will see the benefit of it. And once you do, you can advance onto installing the app on your production instances. Number two, you get access to key metrics related to the health and performance of your instances all in one place. So you won't have to search throughout your instance, throughout your logs, transactions, and other things to get this information, and also don't have to track your performance metrics manually with application insights. Last but definitely not least, the metrics and the features available in App Insights not only help you to keep a track of your performance, but also assist you in troubleshooting better and preempting system failures by alerting you ahead of time. Now, this was a lot of information to grasp in one go. Are there any questions, Karnan, before you proceed?
No, not currently. Looks like the Q&A is pretty quiet. Oh, we do have one more. Any planned future features that you could mention at this point?
We are currently in the process of planning for our next release, and we'll have more clarity by the end of December, and we'll share the updated plans with you.
Awesome.
Okay. I know this was a lot of information for me to throw at all of you, and so early in the morning for some of you as well. But don't worry, we will make the session recording available, so you'll have access to it even after the session on the community page as well as the YouTube playlist. So you can access it whenever you want to refresh your memory of the different features. As you're exploring the app, you have questions, you can go back to it and get them answered. But based on what we've heard today, we would love to know how you currently perform these various activities in your system. And based on the demo that you saw, if and how you see App Insights fitting into your routine, what you liked, what you would like to see in the future. We'll give you a couple of minutes to fill out a survey that we have created for you. And then we can open the floor to questions.
Awesome. So I'm gonna set up the poll right now, and I will send this out to everyone. Here we go. Let's see what questions we get.
Karan, there was a separate poll for just App Insights questions as well.
Let me just double check, make sure that we have both of those within there. We've got about half the participants have answered so far, so I'll leave it up for a couple minutes longer, and then we'll end this one and see if the secondary one comes up.
Yeah, and if there are any questions meanwhile that I can help answer.
I'm going to end this poll for now. And it looks like we've got some great feedback. And yet we do have the secondary one, and here it is set up as the second. So I am going to launch that application insights poll.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Phew, you had me worried for a second there. All right.
I was very worried. Thank you.
We did get a question right here from David. Is the P1 PA job turned on by default?
You need to have the predictive intelligence plugin first, and then I think Kevin is answering that.
And yeah, we have that secondary poll launched. If anybody would like to respond to that, we have a couple of questions about application insights and any kind of feedback or info that you'd like to see in the product. All right, looks like we're getting a little bit of feedback here.
Awesome. I'm also monitoring the Q&A, so everyone, if you have questions, please feel free to type there, and I can help you answer that while we are waiting for the poll to close.
Oh, it must have taken a while to get really up to speed, because that is quite a lot of information there, Jivan, but it's unbelievable. I can really see how the value is there. One thing I was going to ask about is, do you have kind of an idea of how those kind of metrics would be shared with, say, somebody who would go and actually track down some of the performance issues? Would that be shared with a development team, or do you have an idea of kind of the support model of how you would share kind of some of those feedback or metrics with somebody who might be able to address them?
That's a good question. We do have plans for, at the very least as remediation, if you're noticing something that's abnormal, you can create a case for that from right within the app. And when we create that case, we want to provide as much information as possible about that particular event along with that case. So that's one way of sharing that information with support. And of course, if support needs access to the instance for troubleshooting, they have access to the dashboard and they can look at all of these metrics themselves.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. Looks like we've got quite a bit of feedback. I'm going to end the poll now, and we'll take a look right here. This is fantastic. Let's share the results real quick so everybody can see them. There we go. And we did get another question in the chat. With the thresholds flow, can I include the corresponding graph that triggered that alert?
You will get information about the metric that you created the flow for. So usually every metric is a chart of its own, so it's self-explanatory, right? When we were picking out the metrics, it says events log metric, and that's exactly what you see on the graph as well. So that correlation is there. I would love to explore, if that information is enough, if, more information would make it informative. So yeah, keep the feedback coming in, and we would love to hear from everyone.
Awesome, awesome. And we did have one more question in the chat. Any thoughts about adding metrics about table size growth?
That's an interesting one. We have explored that, but we have the limitation that we can only show data up until 30 days. And for something as intensive as table growth, 30 days might not be a sufficient time window for you to monitor that. So there is a paid offering called Instance Observer, which gives you insights into these metrics for a longer period of time, up 6 months by default, and expandable up to 18 months as well. So if you need more historical, those kind of information, and we might include those table growth metrics in there instead of an instance, instead of in-app insights.
Awesome, awesome. That's fantastic. I think we have answered primarily most of the questions here. I want to thank you very much, Jivan, for your time. That was a lot of really, really valuable information related to the application insights. So if we don't have any further questions, we do have another session coming up here on November 11th with the Platform Academy here about getting started with Decision Builder. So definitely look forward to having everybody join at that point. We will be editing this over the next week and getting it posted online, including the questions that we have here. Yeah, okay. I think we are all set. So thank everybody for your time, and I look forward to meeting you guys next week, or 2 weeks from now, actually, on November 11th, so we can do the next one. So thanks very much for your time, Jivan.
Thanks for having us, Gordon. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a good day ahead. Bye.
Cheers.